Dragoon is not a good job and is in contention for the most boring job in the game. At least Berserker's an even more gamified version of a slot machine. This thing is just white bread and cool looking armor. I've gone over all this in multiple videos, so I'll give a condensed version to not endlessly repeat myself. They have a middling stat spread, have a unique weapon type that is unimpressive in damage and is weirdly rare, and all their abilities are bad. However, they do have good durability with heavy armor shields, their good HP, and jump letting them dodge many attacks. The only real synergy they get from other jobs would be something like Quick to get an instant jump off for easy double damage, or switching between some kind of magic ability and Lance to fire off Aga tier magic when you're sick of seeing the spear sprite. Mages can use Lance better than Dragoons because it hinges on your magic stat, but they have way better things to be using their free slot for. Lance is an I have no other choice. Giving jump to other jobs is completely self-defeating because it only does double damage if you have a spear. I guess it also works with the Dancer's Man-Eater and the Thief and Ninja's Double Lance, but I think those jobs have better things to do than jump. Maybe not Dancer, but the Man-Eater as a weapon is bizarre and gotten 2 hours before the game ends, so we'll say that's impractical in a different way. The Freelancer can equip spears by default, so the only job that can use both jump and equip spears is Mime. I am not dignifying this job with any more words. Dancer does two things that you care about: sword dance and wear ribbons. Its innate skill, Dance, chooses 4 moves at a 25% chance each. One that induces confusion, one that drains HP, one that drains MP, and sword dance, which is just a move that does a fuck ton of damage. Any cynical viewers may notice that this means Dancer has a 75% chance of doing absolutely nothing during its turn, and you're correct. But if you wear one of these equipment pieces, the confusion dance is replaced with another sword dance, making it a 50% chance to do nothing instead. On paper, this isn't necessarily horrible. What makes it horrible is Dancer being the frailest job in the entire game, and Sword Dance only ignores Row and Pixel Remaster, meaning they're a frontliner for maximum damage. They can only equip knives, meaning its abysmal HP and weak armor make it incredibly susceptible to getting voiked into the ether whenever something looks at them funny. This actually does have the advantage of giving Dancer, of all jobs, an innate chicken knife skill, and they can easily hit the damage cap with this. However, I would seriously recommend against this unless you have literally no other good option besides praying the flea effect as a proc. It'll just drive you to madness. Dancer's other good things being the Soul Inheritor of Ribbons, a headgear that gives +5 to every stat and immunity to almost every debuff in the game. I am fully convinced that the ribbon is why the Dancer's stats look like this, but stamina as an equipment stat doesn't affect max HP, only health gain through regen, so no matter what, the job is frail. They do get Equip Ribbon, which has an argument for best equip ability alongside Equip Shield, because those stats and immunities could go to a job that could use them properly. Equip Ribbon also gives access to the entire Dancer armor set, but come on, you only care about the ribbon. The last of Dancer's abilities is Flirt, which is 25 ABP for a shittier version of the Stop spell gotten at the ass end of World 1. I want to calmly ask the developers why Dance doesn't have a Flirt effect in place of any of the 3 bad dances, but whatever. Flirt is just straight up not worth using, don't even bother. If you need Flirt so bad, the Lilith Rod can inflict it just as well. Dancer's ribbon compatible head can make them a good support role. One of my runs I had them as a Sing user against Neo X Death just to buff everyone up while not having to worry about White Hole. Unfortunately, that doesn't protect against getting obliterated by Holy, so a strategy like that can only work so well. With Blink and Shell, they're better off, but you can say that about any other job available. Dance as a command is not worth having a whole fourth of your party dedicated to, so any job can use their tactics better than they can with Equip Ribbon. And even then, the ribbon is fantastic, the go-to freelancer headgear to rival the Mime's gold hairpin, but it's also not that great that you have to make your team less versatile to use it on regular jobs. Last thing I'll say, the Dancer exclusive Man-Eater knife from the final dungeon works with the jump. That unironically might be one of their best attacking abilities to give to them because it makes them harder to kill and leans into the uniqueness of their equipment selection. However, if you have both Dancer and Dragoon on the same party, good luck. Just please don't willingly give Dance to anyone. Do it for me. And if not for me, then do it for Reese. The samurai, similar to the ninja, is an incredibly stacked job, and it would be easier to list what it isn't good at rather than what it is. Great stats, access to katanas, a built-in physical dodge chains on top of being able to equip shields, a chicken knife command, a command that's just an on-demand version of Odin, and guild toss, which might be the single best command in the whole game. My runs on this channel ban only two things, rod breaking and guild toss, and considering the volume of busted shit in this game, that says a lot. One thing at a time though, and I apologize in advance for my bastardization of the Japanese language. Mineuchi is a move that's intended to be an attack that also inflicts paralysis, with the bonus of not counting as a physical attack for the purposes of not disturbing sleeping or confused enemies. Whether this move actually does either of those things seems to be different between versions, weird glitches and whatnot, but it always works as a chicken knife command, so big plus there. Zeninage, aka Guild Toss, aka Zeninage, is just overpowered. You throw a chunk of gil, the amount increasing based on your level, to wipe the enemy party off the map. It really speaks for itself. It's an overpowered command, and you can easily solo Neo X-Death with just using this. Guild Toss makes Samurai a contender for the best solo job challenge job. Shira Hadori is the innate physical dodge chance command. While it's fantastic as an innate or inheritive passive, as a standalone command, I don't really think it's worth putting in your empty slot. Equip Shield is much better since, for example, the Aegis Shield gives evasion and petrify immunity, or the Fire and Ice Shields give dodge chance and an element absorption, but you could put it on a job that already has a shield in large bulk like the Knight or Berserker. Equip Katanas is decent. Katanas as a weapon type are great, and the Samurai's 19 strength is pretty commendable, but the only katana you really care about is the Masamune, which is almost certainly going to the Samurai. Maybe you'll get lucky and Twintania will drop the Murasame, but that's 3 bosses away from the credits, so debatably worth it. I suppose you could have your samurai with Mineuchi plus chicken knife, letting someone like a summoner hold the Masamune to instacast Golem, or Time Mage to cast Hastiga or whatever, but I think most job setups aren't going to worry about this one. Iainuki is the interesting one, a pretty high insta-kill chance on every enemy. I think it uses debuff spell accuracy, so if your level is too low, it has a much lower chance of hitting, and vice versa, but it's still a great command on paper. On paper, because about 2/3 of the ABP needed to master Samurai come from this one move. 280 to get the first 4, and then another 540 goddamn ABP to get this one move. Unless you're grinding for it, there's almost no way you'll have this before the very end of the game, and most final dungeon enemies and bosses are either heavy or too high a level to be wasting turns on attempting it. It can cheese some bosses, but for those you'd rather just magic lamp Odin their asses instead of risking a turn on doing nothing. It's a great effect that you'll probably never get to actually use. The plus side is that it doesn't matter what job or weapon you're using, even a white mage can attempt it, so it's kind of similar to Mix in this way. With the Masamune in hand, Samurai can make a good support role. If you want to save your Hermes sandals, the free haste can be immediately used on themselves to start hasting other people, and they can get a good support ability like Summon White or Mix. Also, attacking abilities don't override crit chance, so something like rapid fire katanas can net some seriously big numbers if you're a high roller. Equip weapon can be thrown around if you need even more strength for some reason. There's not a lot you can give to the Samurai that would be bad between its good numbers and ability to go first starting at World 3. Great job, very fun to use and abuse. So let's get this out of the way. Mix is the only reason you really care about Chemist. I've made an entire video on what I consider the best mixtures, along with good farming spots for the mix items, and some comments have added their takes too. I'd really just say go watch that video if you need your daily dose of mix. So in place of that, I'm going over the rest of the Chemist kit. It's got enough novelty to go for a few minutes. For being, as Naomi put it, a white mage on crack, its stats are very humble. The only negative one is magic, which only matters if you do nothing but spam the drain and flare mixes. They can use staves, meaning you've got a decent healing staff user on the ready, or staves of light if you're crazy enough to farm them. Equipment wise, their coolest feature is a unique armor that makes them immune to poison damage. Other than that, nothing spectacular here. Pharmacology is their passive that makes potions and ethers heal for double, and similar to the Samurai's Shira Hadori, this is a passive that is fantastic when innate or inherited, but dedicating your second slot to it is a bit wasteful, I feel. Like, yeah, 1000 HP high potions and 80 MP ethers are fantastic, but I think I'll just leave that to the chemist to do while other people are worrying about using mix. As a personal aside, I kinda hate pharmacology because its existence is why I assume this game doesn't have X potions or high ethers. If you play this game like a normal person, this doesn't matter, like, at all. But in Forged Up Fiestas, it just sucks not having those. Runs where your best healing is basic-ass high potions, the healing staff, or valuable elixirs just sucks. Drink has some fun, gimmicky stuff. A drink that doubles your max HP. There's a mix that can do that. One that gives haste. There's a mix that can do that. Also Hermes. One that boosts your level by 10. There's a mix that can do that. One that gives you protect. There's a mix that can do that. Okay, I get it. The good thing is that the drinks only cost like 100 gil, so even though they're a little redundant, they're much more cost efficient. Drink isn't usually that worth giving to other people, but it is the chemist's innate ability, so using some turns on getting some free levels or protect ain't too bad. The power drink unfortunately only works correctly in Pixel Remaster though, so keep that in mind. And every other version apparently only boosts Goblin Punch damage. Wonder how that happened. So what else we got here? Recover and Revive, a full party Asuna and Raze. If the Malboro was in this game, Recover would probably be a godsend against those guys, but Asuna by itself is a rarely used spell, so Esunaga's practicality is lacking. It's a legitimately good use for Halicarnassus, but even that is beaten by just casting Toad on yourself before the fight and having Hali cure the status for you, no turns wasted. Red Mage wins again, baby! Recover is probably best used when something is inflicting uld on you, or maybe Grand Cross, but I don't think it can recover some of the debuffs from that move. And Revive, I don't know, having an entire ability slot to a Revive move is a little pointless even if Mix didn't exist. I went into this in another video, but Raze and Resurrection aren't good because they're Revives, they're good because they're Revives in an already great ability list. You could choose to Revive, heal, attack, whatever, but the Revive command is a dead slot until someone face plants, in which case I might recommend some Phoenix Downs instead for the greater health recovery. If it was full party Arise, maybe it'd be different, but as it is, nah. The Chemist has interesting abilities, but it's all made totally redundant by easy access to the Final Fantasy Wiki's Mix page. Mix goes well on any job because it doesn't require stats to use, aside from a couple magic damage mixes, and it's the first active you learn, so it's not even like I can say, oh, use drink and abuse the level potion until you learn Mix. It's just sad. If you're not going to use the Chemist as the Mix user, might I suggest Time Magic, because quick double high potion is a respectable heal despite being insanely expensive, or quick double ether, quick double drink, maybe giving them white, having them spam holy with the sage staff. If you give them white, they're straight better statistically than the white mage, so food for thought. Giving them magic also makes those drain and flare mixes better, so there's that too. Look, I can try and hype up Chemist all day, but we all know why we're here.